Oh no, show the gut to the side. Look at that thing, man. Oh my God. Now that's how you start. Dude, that thing is so long. That's what we're looking for.
That thing.
That, to me, looks like a PB. What do you think? That's going over 5.
No, it's not 5, but holy crap.
Dude. Damn right. That's a 4. Dude. 4 pounder right off the bat. Here we go. Oh my God, dude. Dude. Look at that. I have big hands. That thing's huge. Girthy. That's triple C thick.
I'm calling them today, boys.
What's going on, everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Jim, hey, buddy. Ryan, I don't know if you're still here, but hi. Said hi like way early in the stream. South Jersey, Jim B. Dan, hey, buddy. Brian, I got your text, so I didn't get to read it yet. I saw it that it popped in, but I didn't get to read it yet. Oh, New Hampshire, chilling by the fire, watching the stream. Hell yeah. Text. Okay, I'll check the text now. I'll check it. Oh, dude, you got a donkey. 6.15. Hell yeah, Brian.
Damn.
Show that off. That's a big fish, even though it's blurry. You can still see it. That's friggin' awesome, dude. Can't beat that. Oh, little Tommy. Hey, buddy. David. How's it going? Panda. Home bit early because arms are wrecked, but can still catch the stream. Hell yeah, buddy. That's what I like to hear. How's everybody else doing tonight?
Wrecked.
Got a lot to talk about. All the good stuff. Hey, Ron. Got a lot, dude. And Chris, hello. I need sleep, but I'll get sleep after I get through all these Champlain videos. I've been up till 2 a.m. almost every night. 2:30 last night is when I finally called it quits to get everything done. But I got the video done. Of course, there's like no video views on it. Yeah. No, Panda, we're going to call it that for the third day, because that was the day we caught 102 fish, and our best 5 went over 21 pounds.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, you caught that 4.75-pound smallie.
Oh, yeah.
That was a true giant. Giant.
That was good.
Champlain
I didn't even feel that big either.
Which is weird, because all the 3.5 to 4s felt like they were 6s.
5s and 6s, yeah, I know. Made no sense.
It was insane. Carl! Holy crap, buddy. How you been, man? You done traveling for your work yet, or what? You've been MIA for a while.
Champlain Boat Gang.
Champlain Boat Gang. Dude, those guys at Dragon Custom Tackle came up with some absolutely amazingly hilarious video titles. I should be posted to the channel. I was like, maybe one of these days. Donk Swampy, how you doing, friend? We have a lot to discuss for everything post-spawn. And honestly, a lot of this stuff can be used like most of the year anyway, but like this is stuff that, like, without a shadow of a doubt, for the next probably 6 weeks, I'm going to go out with tied on every single time. Carl, not too much work on of play. That sucks. That's how everybody feels all the time, especially him.
Yeah.
What else? There's something else I'm going to say. Nope, it's gone. Anyway, all right, more caffeine.
See you, bye.
Yeah. Lots and lots of caffeine tonight. 2 coffees, 2 monsters. We're feeling good. So, before we get into it, for those that have been sharing the videos, thank you very much. It has absolutely been helping as usual. If you guys continue to do that, it will continue to help us. So, for everybody that's going the extra mile, I mean, literally, it can be as simple as always leaving a like and a comment on videos. Like, that alone helps drive a lot of traffic. It helps the algorithm. Watching the majority of the video, obviously, that helps huge. Engagement, really. It's not that. They call it something else on YouTube. But, you know, that average watch time absolutely plays into it. It's not just views. How long you're watching it, you know. Like, somebody just showing up, clicking it, and leaving after 10 seconds, actually not good. But also, still not bad. So for anybody that is doing that, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Aside from that, anybody that is interested in becoming a channel member, we have had that going for a little bit. You can go ahead and down the video description below, there should be a link directly to that. We offer different perks for people that sign up for different things. And we even have like a really high tier thing where we can do like one-on-one stuff. Also, on the thought of this, I haven't talked to you about it yet, but it's something I've been giving a lot of thought to. I think I know how we can work out this whole guiding thing.
Okay.
Because we've had an insane amount of interest.
Yeah.
And I like to make that work. So, I don't know. Something I'm still working on, but there's other things I have to get through. There's still like this massive announcement we've been just trying to get to, but the timing of everything just hasn't been great. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. There's like one major piece that is not difficult, but not easy. It's a tedious process I still have to get done. So, oh yeah, Dan, enjoy, man. I keep forgetting it's Celtics are in the conference finals, I believe. Go Sparks. Ball.
Yay, balls.
So I know
I'm not a huge sports fan, sorry.
I think there's been like a major playoff game, whether it was the Bruins. Well, I can't say major for the Bruins because they didn't do too hot. But either Bruins or Celtics have been on like almost every Wednesday for the last like month. Someone's been on. So it's been, I can tell it's a lot of people that'd rather watch that. Nothing wrong with that. But I forgot about that. Like, look at the end of the night, I'm like, oh yeah, playoffs.
Oh yeah. I got nothing.
Jim B, enjoyed day 2 Champlain video. Nice job. Andrew set the bass fishing required attire stand with shorts and black socks. Even Derek texted me that. He was like, how about Andrew with those shorts and black socks?
It's like pineapples and socks.
That was great. Hey, Jason. So yeah, I mean, anybody that's willing to do that, they want to sign up for memberships, please, by all means, go for it. Again, we have this another big thing, but I'm trying to get through a bunch of other things. We do have an apparel storefront that is up. I have like greatly neglected the website to get that tied in together, but I've been holding off because of this major shift we're trying to do coming up, and it doesn't make any sense to do all this work ahead of it and then change things and then go back and redo everything. So the integration is coming. I'm trying to keep the videos and all the other content flowing on the regular. Andrew's getting more like schmutz on the table, getting more video stuff done. So we're getting there. And beyond that, if you guys are interested in donating any amount, it all helps. You can do it either here directly through YouTube in the chat if you have it set up, or down in the video description below. There is a link to both our Venmo and our PayPal. Other than that, I think I nailed everything. Also, if you haven't done it yet, drop a like. Get right to it. Just make it happen. Click it.
I'll even do it. I'm right here. I'm on the screen. Watch this.
South Jersey said, I haven't gone fishing this week. I should be going tomorrow, but bet it's good. Nice. That's good, buddy. Oh, sorry. I think you were finding somebody else. But I chose to read it. Hey.
I'm liking it.
You're supposed to silencio phono.
It did.
Yes, Brian, we did press record. Thank you. I also figured out how to play that video intro I made, which needs a major update because there's a lot better fish we can add to that to make it work through StreamYard, which is always nice. So enough chat about all the back end stuff. Let's get to it. Post-spawn techniques and baits. Post-spawn baits. Best post-spawn baits and techniques. I had to get right to the heart of it. This is like, I just like vomited out my thought process as I go through video titles as I'm trying to think for stuff in the stream.
I mean, this time of year, it's like, how do I say this without?
You can say it constructively.
You hook up with a chick.
This is going to be good.
You hook up with a girl, and you're tired after. And after you get a rest, what's the first thing on your mind?
Food.
You're starving, and you want a big meal. You want a big freaking meal. That's what I think post-spawn.
You're not wrong.
I know.
Jason, you need a wheel of topics. I actually have a grease board on the wall behind the camera over there that needs to be updated because, like, going back to the end of February, I had like a ton of topics lined up, and we friggin' rifled through them. And all but one of our guests. There's still one guy I got to reach out to, but there's a bunch of other things I'm trying to think of. Like I have these other topic ideas, but I want to be able to bring in somebody else from a different part of the country, somewhere from up north, that can help speak to it. But it's a downside to being a content creator with a full-time career and a full-time dad, which that sounds stupid, but you know what I mean. My wife works evenings. Like I can't get to this until late at night. So trying to like watch other people, it just doesn't happen. I do not have time. Anytime I put into watching other people is time I take away from actually building everything myself here. So like one thing I'd love to do is to talk about like trophy smallmouth hunting with someone that's really, really good at it. And there's one person I had in mind, but this is going to sound super petty. He doesn't follow me, even though I like engage with him a lot. And like, if he's not interested in me, then why would I want him on the show? That's petty. I know it, but I mean, it's also reasonable.
I guess. Yeah.
If he has no interest in us, then, well, yeah, I don't know. There's other people. We can make this work. We can make this work without me being a petty little girl. So
ponytails are too tight.
I know. Carl, you are absolutely right. And that's actually one of the only things I don't have out on the table that I'm absolutely going to discuss, the giant 10-inch worms.
Yeah.
So
meals. They want meals.
Damn right. Let's get into it. All right. Let's start with the very first thing that you'd want to throw, like highest confidence bait that you're going to have tied on every time, specifically for post-spawn. Like when you know that they're off beds, they've recovered to an extent in the sense of like, usually they move off beds and there's that little bit of a lull where they're just kind of like hanging out, not really doing anything.
Yeah.
It's like sitting there.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
The toilet.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Yeah, all that. Anyway.
Well.
But then, you know, like all of a sudden you go out one day and like you hit a couple right at the bat. You're like, okay, yeah, no, it's go time again. What's the I will say your top two baits you're going to throw without question for post spawn, your best baits.
Jig and something moving, probably a chatterbait.
Bingo.
Or a spinnerbait.
Bango, bongo. Here's one. Here's two. A. And here's your 2B. We have show and tell items.
Oh, chatterbait, jig, spinnerbait. If you cannot get bit on one of these during, or even a square bill in post spawn, they're doing something wrong. That's like, if you follow the wind and you throw a spinnerbait or chatterbait on that bank, you're gonna get hit.
Yep, and I just saw it. Where'd the comment go? Because I absolutely 110% agree with it. South Jersey. Swim jig is my go-to in speed cranking. Swim jig.
Or swim jig, yeah. Yeah, swim jig too, yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with him. The swim jig definitely works right now. I have a little bit more success and more consistent success, usually closer to the bluegill spawning. And I can work that around them, and the bass really go crazy for it, especially if you can work around like lily pads and stuff. But that's kind of like my 1C to those. I would say my 1A, agreeing with Andrew, would be spinnerbait out of these two. And I'm not, this isn't mine, I'm just kind of expanding what he said. My 1A is spinnerbait, my 1B is a bladed jig. Now the question is, obviously you just touched on conditions. You're talking about high winds and stuff. What is your cadence for the jig? Let's start with that. I know we just talked about wind, but I was thinking about talking about chatterbait first. But
cast that thing out to say there's like kind of a shallower point, or
Jason,
like
I got you, buddy.
Any like kind of rock piles in like, I don't know, anything less than 10 feet really. That's where I'm going to be, because they're just coming off the beds and moving out a little deeper, and then they're working their way back up to feed. And I will throw this jig down in those rocks. I'll start closer to the shore, and I'll drag it really fast, like maybe like a 2-foot drag, pause, reel in the slack, 2-foot drag, pause, reel in the slack. And if I get to some rocks, then I'll really start popping it up and over the rocks, really get their attention. And usually bite it pretty good.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Just a faster jig presentation.
Yeah, kind of like what we were just doing up on Champlain 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
where I started doing that power dragging. Mm-hmm. And This is where if you really want to get into jig fishing, like now is the time to pick it up and start just chucking it because you're going to get bit on it. And you can work it a lot faster. Like I think a lot of people have this perception that fishing a jig has to be slow. Absolutely not the case for a good portion of the year. You can work it pretty aggressively. Do you typically want to slow down for bigger and better fish? Yes, absolutely. But if you just want to catch fish, dude, you can work that thing like a champ.
I caught one last week, and I was literally swimming this across the bottom. Like just slow swimming it. And so it was just constantly moving across the bottom, and they were coming down and just smashing it.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah, weekend fishing report. It sucked. So, it was all beds. We don't care.
Where the hell were we? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, I stopped at one spot after.
That's true.
And I got one on this.
Well, we can bring that up when we talk about that.
Okay.
So we can keep it on pace here, too. So... Okay, you covered the jig. What about when you're talking about moving baits? What are your key areas to target with them? What's your 1As? Chatterbait and then 1B your spinnerbait?
Depends on what they're biting that day. I'll
Okay,
work,
so
I'll
they're
work
equal.
both of them. I'll work both of them pretty equally until I find out which one's getting hit more. But I will go on big shallow flats, and I will throw that, or I will work it out of like low hanging trees where there's shade if it's super hot out, and I'll work it out from that. But I'll be pretty much just cast one spot, bring it in, just fan casting along the bank as I'm going down. And if I find something different, like a rock pile or any sort of timber, I'll pick the jig right up and I'll start tossing into that stuff too.
One question I did fail to ask when we're talking about your top two right here, strictly for largemouth, correct? Or how much of this
Strictly
is translatable to smallmouth?
Pretty much all of it. Maybe your jig presentation might be a little different.
A little more compact.
Yeah.
It's typically like spider jig right now for smallmouth, absolutely killer. Open water sniper with a small craw trailer, absolutely killer.
For smallmouth?
Yeah. Oh, there's much more, but I'm just curious, like how much of that would you say you could take to smallmouth as well, or is everything you talked about, jig, chatterbait, spinnerbait, strictly for largies?
No, you can still get smallmouth on that stuff.
Damn right you can.
You'd probably be working the chatterbait a hell of a lot faster than you would for a largemouth, though.
Yep. And I will say for the only difference for the spinnerbait for largemouth versus smallmouth, I'm going to tend to throw willow leaf blades more for smallmouth so I can work it faster, and I'm going to work it closer to the surface than I would for largemouth, where for that, I'm typically bouncing it off of stuff. Not to say that you can't do the same thing for smallmouth, but just previous experience, I've done better alternating it a little bit for how I fish it, depth, and what I'm doing with it for deflection or not, from largemouth to smallmouth. All right, so those are your top two, technically three.
Two, yeah.
Your bottom contact, you got your moving bait.
Mm-hmm.
Your absolute go-to top or post spawn baits.
Yeah.
Pasha and Donk Swampy, I'll get to those questions next. For me, my my number one and my number two, honestly, I'm still going to... Okay, no. It's going to be a 1A, 1B, and a 2A, 2B. Number one, always a jig. Now, what kind of jig greatly matters on where I'm fishing. This is the time of the year where I'm more often than not going to start throwing a Beast Coast of Vanquish jig, which is an Arky-style head, because it works both in grass and rock. And a lot of those fish are going to start intermingling in the areas where the grass is starting to emerge a lot more. So I like to have something a little bit more versatile that I can still work through both the veggies and the hard structure without any issues. You can pitch it around through timber, you can fish just straight up rocks or straight up grass. It works great. It is the jack of all trades jig. I absolutely love it. My 1B to that, shaky head. This is kind of a, heavier duty style on this. This is actually a 5/8 ounce jig with a friggin' 5/0 hook on it. This is a big, heavy setup, and it's got a 5-inch zoom trick worm on it. But shaky head, and it doesn't have to be something quite this big, but shaky head has been by far one of my best producing bottom contact baits for immediate post spawn. Couldn't tell you why. It's like halfway between a bulky presentation and a subtle finesse presentation. Thing works killer. Kind of proved it the other day. On Sunday, we were out there. Granted, it was there was no bed visible, but we found two largemouth that were cruising up shallow, close to structure. They were just roaming in between a couple of stumps. And they were locked. Like, we found them earlier in the day. We went back to them 4 hours later. They were still literally roaming the same area. We didn't see any fry. They probably were post spawn. We just didn't see anything, or they were just kind of guarding what used to be their nest. No idea. All I know is that we threw the kitchen sink at them. And then I finally picked this thing up and I caught it on first try cast.
Yeah, that was kind of nuts.
Shaky head, and again, you just keep it super simple. Like a Zune trickworm, 4 to 5 inch, really. When you get like really late post spawn into that early summer pattern, then you go like super size on it and something heavier, but like a 3/16 or a 1/4 inch shaky head with a 5 inch trickworm is all you need. Jig, shaky head, my 1A, 1B. My 2A, 2B, I'm actually going to go swim jig with a swim bait because I tend to do a little bit more, a little bit better with that, and I can be more versatile with it. And it's not as like condition dependent. You could really say the same for both bladed jig and spinnerbait, but a swim jig with a swim bait is something as simple as a Kitech on the back, 3.8 inch to a 4.8 inch. Works phenomenal. And anything like that. What the hell am I trying to think of? The Strike King one. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But you know what I'm talking about. What are you laughing at?
We'll figure it out when we do our order later.
This is true. So, anything with like a good little paddle tail swim bait on the back of a swim jig works killer. You can do everything with it. You can swim up over hard structures, swim it through the grass. You can get it tight to the lily pads. You can swim it and almost work it on the bottom like a jig too. You can do everything with it. But especially post spawn, those bass turn right back around and eventually really, thank you, start focusing. No, there's another one. It's almost like the Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. And I can't remember what it's called. Dream Shad? It's on the tip of my tongue. They do have the Rage Swimmer, and that's like the Kitech style. Yeah. But there's another one, again, that's like the Reaction Innovation Skinny Dipper. This is really infuriating. I can't remember the name of it. But anything like that works. So swim jig or swim bait is my 2A, and then 2B is a spinnerbait. I would say the vast majority, not the vast majority now, because it's getting close, but without a shadow of a doubt, the majority of my 5+ pound largemouth I caught in my life have come on a spinnerbait. Just a naked old spinnerbait. Now, this is a custom one I got from a subscriber of mine named Chris. Wicked good dude. He makes these giant bladed spinnerbaits, and they work killer. You don't have to get anything fancy. You can just get anything off the shelf and work it throughout the water column, pause it, pump it a little bit. They get slammed. It works killer, and especially if you get the wind kicking up, like now is really when the spinnerbait bite goes off. And again, it's one of my best big bass producing baits. I cannot even fathom how many 4+ pound largemouth and smallmouth I've caught on a spinnerbait. But for 5+ pound class, absolutely, spinnerbait is my number one bait. With that said, that's our number one and number two. For our go-tos, without a shadow of a doubt, tied on every time, let's turn it back to the chat. Because there was, yes, Donk Swampy had a great question. Where do the females go first once they leave and the males stay? You caught a solid 30 bass last night in a big fish kettle pond, but nothing over 2.5. You want to take this first?
From what I've seen, they move off like
not that far.
Not far, like 10, 15 feet. And they kind of stay in the vicinity of the bed to kind of keep an eye on it because the males get distracted, as we all do. And they do have to come in sometimes and kind of push the male out of the way to take over. But they won't move far. They'll move. I mean, what did I caught that one. The male was on the bed. It was probably 3.5, 4 pounds. And then I caught that big, I don't even know how big it was. It was the same fish as my 7.7, but it was a year later.
Yeah, that was a big fish.
And she was off the bed. She was probably, I'd say 10 feet off the bed when I got her. And didn't have a scale. She was probably over 8, but I didn't have my scale on me. But it was the same fish. But she was probably 10 to 12 feet off the bed. I've seen, I don't know, hundreds of females that are just like, you got to sit and just watch the male. He'll be fucking around with like bluegill and whatever, but you'll see her kind of move in a little bit and then take back off just to make sure that he's doing his job. But from my experience, they don't move any more than 15, 20 feet off the bed.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Think back to the pre-spawn. Everything that they're doing pre-spawn, they're going to be doing immediate post-spawn. They're not going that far away because they're going to come right back and start feasting on all the other bait fish that are moving up. You've got bluegill spawning, which, at least for here in New Hampshire, tends to be almost always right around Father's Day. And usually it's in the water, gets into like upper 70s, closer to 80 for your surface temp. And the moment you start seeing bluegills spawning and you'll see clusters of beds all tightly packed together, those bass are going to not going to be very far behind.
Well, I went to that small pond after I caught the glide fish down in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And,
from the road.
behind the pizza place.
Yep. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That's not where you said you were going.
I know, but I also went there.
Okay.
I went to
everywhere.
I went to a few different spots down there. But there was one big female. There was one little male. He may have been like 1.5 pounds, and then there was like a 4-pound female who actually hit this extremely hard.
Really?
I swam it over the bed, and she came out of nowhere, like nowhere,
Trucked
behind it and trucked it and missed the hooks. But
stupid fish.
she went off and she moved right back out into the lily pads and just sat like maybe 15 feet from the bed. And every time I threw something in, she'd come right in.
Huh. No kidding.
Yep.
I like it. Ryan Briggs, thank you very much for the $20 donation, buddy. Greatly appreciate it.
But that was right next to all those bluegill beds, literally like 10 feet.
Yep.
There was like a row of bluegill beds and then a patch of lily pads, and then on the other side of that was their bed down a little deeper.
Yeah. So there you go, Pasha. Sorry, I forgot to pin this when we were talking about it. Yes, when we're talking about jigs, we also mean swim jigs. Football jigs, if you know you're getting into really good, clean areas without any veggies. Not to say you can't work a football jig in veggies, but it doesn't always work great. That's where I really like the Beast Coast Vanquish jig, because that jig, again, jack of all trades, it works great both in hard cover structure and around veggies. Otherwise, you could use something like the Beast Coast Little Magnum if you have a very thickly vegetated body of water, because that's like a really nice punching jig, so it's going to slide through grass exceptionally well. If you have like sandy glacial lakes like we have in Lakes Region of New Hampshire, open water sniper jig works great. You can still work just any sort of football jig. The hell is it? The Hustler from Beast Coast, if you want a little bit more subtle presentation for some reason, that jig works phenomenal all year long. Mm-hmm. I seriously, I cannot stress that enough, how good that jig works all year. But now, especially if you're in really thick vegetation and you think that a moving bait bite is going to get it done, hell yeah, you should absolutely have a swim jig tied on, because it's one of the best big presentation moving baits that you can work through any sort of cover easily. Hell, you can pitch that up into a tree, let it sink a little bit and swim it out. And it's going to, as long as you're kind of mindful of how you're trying to swim out of that tree, it's just going to come out and bump and roll around everything and swim right out. Mm-hmm. All right, that. What else did I miss in the chat? There's a lot. Swim and Shiner, yeah, those were all David Toll. Try the Yum Pulse swim bait on a swim jig. Cheap and has the roll action. I like it. Oop, I got another one. Ah, crap, what'd I click? Oh, no. No. I got another donation. Sorry, I didn't. It's gone now. Thank you. I gotta go back and find it. Okay. There's a great question. What are the water temps now going up for the first time this year? Really depends on where you are in the country. We're trying to diversify a lot from how we identify ourselves here, whereas we've always been 603 bass, but this show is done so exceptionally well, and it's called Real Northern Bass. We're trying to, everything that we talk about is applicable to the entire northern half of the United States. So, depending on where you are, it's going to vary greatly. But at least for the Northeast, oh man, we're in this really wide range. But I would say that it's pretty safe to say 60 to anywhere upwards of low 70-degree water temp, depending upon the size of the body of the water, how deep it is, if it's spring fed or not, the whole 9 yards. Southern New Hampshire, God, it's all over the place. I would say upper 60s to low 70s pretty safely across the board based on what we saw last weekend. We were in Southern New Hampshire. We were fishing a relatively big pond that gets pretty deep. Nice clear lake, but water was... We actually had 68 pretty much everywhere except for one back shallow area where I actually got up to 71 and change. Yeah. So it's kind of all over the place. Whoa. Click that one. There we go. Do you guys use any wake baits or multi-jointed swim baits in the post-spawn or more conventional gear? Glad you brought that up.
Use you wake baits or multi-jointed baits?
We'll get into that now. So we already covered our go-tos. Like without exception, the 2 baits we're going to have tied on. We both covered our favorite bottom contact and our favorite moving baits. So jig, shaky head for our bottom contacts. And then moving baits could be any one of the 3 for a chatterbait, spinnerbait, or swim jig with a swim bait combo. Now on the other end of the spectrum, because for us, one of the things that we just enjoy doing and something that like I know personally, I want to excel at being as multifaceted an angler as possible. I want to be able to do any technique in any condition, anywhere in the country, any time of the year. I don't care. I just like to figure them out. I love that chess match of trying to figure out what the fish want every day. So I throw everything. And the big baits are fun as hell. So on the other end of the spectrum, starting with you again, what are your go-to big baits for post-spawn action?
Wake baits. I love wake baits. I literally and that.
So, and there is a difference between a wake bait and a rat. And I learned this during the Swim Bait Expo and the New England Fishing Expo, talking to our buddy Brian. And he really broke it down. I wish I could remember all of the key details, but he made exceptional points as to why there's a difference between a rat and a wake bait. Technically, they're the same thing, but they're not. Anyway, continue.
If my moving bait bite is actually like going off, I will get a couple fish in the boat just to be happy, and then I will grind a big bait, which I shouldn't have to grind too hard if they're hitting baits that hard. Like if they're hitting a chatterbait or a spinnerbait every like 2-3 casts, I'm going to pick my glide and I'm going to work it pretty freaking hard. Whether it's, I don't even know what one this is. I don't even remember. One of the smaller ones. I will start with usually the bigger one just because it's my favorite one I have and I like throwing it. Or I'll throw something a little smaller or even a completely different presentation of a bluegill. But 9 times out of 10, I'll pick this thing up and throw it until I either get hit or hopefully not lose it. And if that doesn't work, I don't know.
I know what I would.
I know
I don't
it's gonna
have
work.
them. I have them. They're in the boat. I forgot to get them out, but I forgot to bring some crankdowns.
Yeah, I need to get one of those.
Yes, you do. You just want. I mean, you can throw any of mine anytime, dude. They float.
I don't want. Oh,
I don't buy sinking baits anymore. I learned my lesson. I only buy floaters.
I've lost a few glides and it doesn't feel good.
Hey, Tim.
Not expensive ones, thank God.
Oh, you mean like my $80 bait sandy that's still sitting at the bottom of the lake?
I didn't lose that.
We should go get that this weekend. I know. I'm talking about myself and
it sucks.
my hurt feelings. We should go get that. I say we. I mean, we should go fishing there, and then I go swimming and get it.
You want to go swimming?
I guarantee you that water's mid-60s. It's still going to be cold, but I can deal with that.
I say either there or where me and Kyle went.
Ooh. I have a couple of messages I have to get back to. There's a couple of people that want to go fishing with us this weekend. Okay. I can figure it out with family and everything. All right, anyway, so back on track. Okay. So you already talked about the rat, and you talked about the glide?
Glides, yes.
Okay. I'm going to go same deal as him. I don't have any other baits. The only thing I really have to show off is, the Spro Rat with no tail. Still works, by the way. If you lose your tail, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then, honestly, I've been waiting forever to get this. LFOD, the Monk. New Hampshire-based. Dude, this thing swims like a champ. And they weren't joking. For how big that bait is and how big the bill is, you can crank down on this thing hard. It will go subsurface. It will not blow out. And, I mean, you can rip on it, and it does not blow out. I am beyond impressed with how good a work these guys did. But at the same time, I'm not really impressed because I've seen the work that they've put into it to get this to where it is. They've put in the time, they've put in the energy, they've put in the money. They make a phenomenal bait. So, wake baits, rats, and crankdowns. I have, I forget which one it is from Piz. It's a shallow crankdown. The crappie. I really wish. I might have it. I'll go get it in a second. So I'll do something like that, Crankdowns are really my go-to. Think of it like a giant square bill. It's a phenomenal bait. If you can think of an area where you get into them that you know that something like a square bill or any other crankbait is going to work, now is the time to also start throwing these bigger swim baits that crank down subsurface. Not just like a foot, though that does work, but I've got some that go like 2 to 3 feet. That's one of my bigger 7-inch hard bodies from Defcon swim baits at a mass. And then I also have another one from him that's a 6-inch, the stubby crank down. That goes down 5 to 6 feet. I have already had 2 incredibly killer post-spawn seasons fishing those bigger crankdowns. Really, like, kind of out in that same spot where they would stage for pre-spawn before they go up and lock on beds. They move right back out to those same areas. So you get, like, those good, juicy rock piles and points and stuff that are, like, maybe 30 feet from the bank at most and not that much deeper. Like, those are key areas for me. I'm going to work those things freaking hard with those big crankdowns. They work great. And I'm going to throw either a rat or a waking bait right over the top. For my proper, like, wake baits versus a rat, I have, I think only the one, the bullshad bull wake. And we had a phenomenal stretch with it 2 years ago, both of us. Last year, I didn't do much, but I did better on the rat, which is kind of weird.
Until I found a dock.
Yeah, until you found a dog. He blew the face off of it.
Whoops.
And what I do want to do more of now this year is throw the glide a lot more. But, like, I mean, really, like, all those baits are in a totally different class of themselves. I am very much a traditional angler. First and foremost, always will be. But the big baits are definitely calling to me. And after I have seen firsthand just what this bait can do over and over and over again, just for calling fish out to tell you what's there,
It's insane.
I got to get one of these.
I
Like,
literally had
it's a fish finder.
8 or 9, like, I don't know, I'd say 1 to 2 pounders at once following this thing in last weekend.
That's from the wife. She sent me a gif of some dude scuba diving.
See you, bye.
Yeah. So, yeah, for big baits, like, that kind of covers everything. We throw them a lot. I mean, I have 3 rods dedicated just to throwing big baits. So, yeah, we do it, but you do it a little bit more. I would say now you're creeping up on, like, 50% of your day. You're starting to grind that glide.
Yeah.
And even though you're not catching fish, again, like, the sheer, like, calling out power of that bait is second to none. I've got some pretty sexy glides that don't call in crap. This thing, almost every cast is calling in fish. It is in a class of its own.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've gotten, like, almost as, not, I wouldn't say as comfortable as the jig, but my confidence is freaking up there with these big glides now. Like, I have absolutely no issue throwing them. I don't second guess myself, but is this thing going to get bit? It's going to get bit. It just depends on how long you throw it and if you're working it right. It's like a big jerkbait.
Yeah. No, and no, you're
Giant
spot on,
jerkbait.
because even Oliver said that when we had him on last time. We were talking about, like, what it takes to get into glides. And he's like, well, first things first, how are you with a jerkbait? Because if you know how to work a jerkbait effectively, you can work a glide effectively.
I know how to work a jerkbait.
Very well. Which is
So-
why I can't catch shit on a glide. 'Cause
You got one.
I did. I did get my glide fish on Champlain.
Now
I'm
you just
still
got to start
happy
throwing
about
it more.
I know, but it's a different style. I got to bite the bullet and buy it depths. My wife is already getting mad right now. I can hear. I should get that.
You cook me dinner?
South Jersey, it's a really good point too. Speaking further on the big baits, the rats do produce a different sound than my fish profile wakes. The rat, the Spro 50 size, mind you, has got about one of the loudest knocks for a topwater bait I've ever heard. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I can do this without rattling though too much.
It's pretty loud.
You know,
Like,
versus
if it's like a quiet night and you cast, I don't know how far you can cast, but like, I'd say 150 feet.
yeah,
roughly
150 to 200 feet when we get, like, a good lob with this big heavy
Yeah,
bait, and,
like-
and the Spro is not that heavy.
And if it's not super windy and you can hear that thing echoes, like literally it echoes.
It
It's
is loud.
insane.
Then, like, there's, I don't know. I'm not even gonna speak to it, but I can tell you that depending upon what either small, like, basement bait builder you get or the bigger mass produced stuff, they all have their own unique sound and knock, and that matters some nights. It's not just about the profile, but also how much noise they're making. we have found that ourselves with our limited big bait fishing experiences, and especially this, again, this isn't just big baits we're talking. This is even specific to post spawn, where I've thrown them more than any other time of the year. So, this is, again, the monk, and it's a different noise. It's definitely loud, but this is more like it's a clack.
Sometimes fish don't want that big, loud clack, though.
No,
that's the thing.
We have found that. Like, we gone out and absolutely hammered them on the rat, and then the next night out, couldn't buy a bite. And then I throw something like the bullshad wake, which is damn near silent in how much it clacks, and all of a sudden we're getting bit left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. So it really does matter sometimes. So yes, there you go. There's that question. Hide that. It wasn't even a question, more a statement I want to elaborate on. And I'm trying to think, who else did I see? Right. Ooh. Hang on. I'm going to find a question for you to address so that I can go get 2 baits. Oh my God, there's so many. Oh, wait a minute. Ron. Oh, nope, that wasn't one. Sorry, Ron. Where the hell did that comment go?
I don't know which one you're looking
Oh, there we are. Jim's question. I knew I saw it. Are you throwing the wake baits, rats, and other shallow baits all day or early and late, low light? You handle that. I got to get 2 baits.
Wake baits, rats, and other shallow baits.
I know my answer.
I mean, yes. Baits all day or early and late. Sorry, the camera's in the way. If I'm early morning and late in, like, just before sunsets is usually when I start throwing the wake baits. I know a lot of people do really well during the day with them. I have other things to throw during the day, honestly. I like throwing this big glide in the day. I like throwing jigs during the day. I like throwing all the regular conventional stuff during the day when we can actually, like, see what we're doing. But when it comes to night fishing, there's nothing better than throwing, like, a wake bait and just hearing the explosion when you can't even see the fish. It's something else. I love it. So, yeah, to answer your question, I start usually when it's dark out or when it's early morning, later at night.
So then you have the bigger baits that kind of do both, where you can wake them and crank them down, and more than just like subsurface, you can get down several feet. I have been dying to get this bait for ages, and actually one of my subscribers, this guy I know, Gary, hooked it up with a loaner for this bait because I've been trying to get my hands on one forever, and he insisted I borrow it for I'm not sure how long yet, but I'm hoping I can at least stick one fish on it before I return it. So we're all familiar with the depths, right? There's a reason why I'm holding it like this. That's a big bait. Then you get something like this. The Pats. This thing is big, but it fish like I cannot explain how this bait fishes. You'd have to experience it. But this is a really nice, versatile bait in that I found I can still wake it. I mean, you got to go slow to keep it on the surface, but you can wake it. But then the moment you get some speed going on it, you wouldn't think it does, but this thing actually dives down pretty far too.
It go pretty deep.
And it's got such a good swim on it.
And it sounds cool too.
Wicked good. It's not super loud. I can't explain it.
It's like a smooth clack.
I've thrown it a decent amount so far, but we've also been fishing in a lot of like 2-3 critter lakes, so I've been like, no, I won't even take it out. I'll leave it at home because I don't even want to be tempted because it's not mine. But having finally fished that bait, I understand now why they're so coveted, because their versatility and their uniqueness and how damn good they do what they do. That's a phenomenal bait. I heard most of what you said. Everything Andrew said for that question, Jim, I 110% agree with. I do not need to elaborate on that. Oh, yeah, you did.
Palmer,
you saw it. What'd you say?
Palmer, huh?
Yeah, dude. I mean, and that, well, I'm throwing that on my rod with the 24-pound Defiant fluorocarbon. So, I don't know.
I want to get that.
Because I use a snap on the front. It's just easy to tie a Palmer on it, and I have all the confidence in the world in that knot. So.
I know you do. Just give me shit.
Just check it.
I use one knot That's
so
it.
go ahead. Yeah, the improved cinch
I
knot
don't
is what
even
you
know
use.
what it's called.
In the improved cinch knot, or actually, you might just use the regular cinch knot.
No, it's definitely different than that.
Well,
I've watched videos on improved.
Whatever. It's almost the same.
It's
thing.
almost
Semantics.
just a
potato,
little different.
potato.
Tomato.
Carla, thank you very much for the donation. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Mom.
Andrew appreciates you more than I do, but I do appreciate you.
You the best.
She hooked it up. Okay, so we've really talked largely about largemouth post-spawn fishing. I promise you we're going to specifically talk about smallmouth too, because we've done our fair share of both immediate pre-spawn and post-spawn smallmouth fishing too. So I actually have a couple of baits specifically for that. So we covered our absolute go-tos. We covered the big baits. Let's talk a little bit more about finesse stuff, because there's a couple of different things that can work. And I don't have a whole lot of different examples on hand.
For what? Sorry.
You know what? No, I'm not even going to break it down by finesse. So we talked about our go-tos. We've talked about our big baits. So now let's move down the list. And specific to largemouth for this, where like, what's your secondary go-tos for baits? If it's not getting done by the jig and it's not getting done by the chatterbait or the swim bait or spinner bait, like moving down the list, what are the next things you're going to look for, both on the finesse side and the reactionary side of things? And then after this, I promise there's actually two things we'll do. One, we'll waffle off a t-shirt and or hat if you guys are interested. And then from there, we're going to go talk a lot more about smallmouth specifically, because there's a few different baits that I will only throw for smallmouth that I won't throw for largemouth.
This is a hard one.
You want me to go first so you can think about it? Shaky head.
Shaky head, for
Dude,
sure.
It's so good.
It just works. And
for reactionary, I took a guess. Yeah, there. I was gonna say, I got it out because I took a guess.
For sure, square bill,
Cam, I'm getting
or
there.
jerkbait, which I'll work extremely aggressive, like 6-7 jerks with like a half a second pause. Yep, that's what I do.
Shaky head and square bill. I like it. I'm pretty much on the same line as you, so I'm not gonna bring those back out. But then there's some other added things. If we're talking post-spawn or we're getting a little bit closer to either there's like really good emergent vegetation around and you know that they're back up shallow, or the bluegill are spawning, I got you, Cam. Frog. And I can't remember what this one is. I think this is a mega bass. It's a popping style frog. Bass and Panda, you still here? You're the one that told me to buy these, and I love them. They work phenomenal. They look really good.
Mega bass or the throw ones?
No, it's mega bass. I'm like 99% sure. Again, the name is on the tip of my tongue. I'm really tired. My memory is starting to go downhill. I'm up too late too often. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely always gonna. Oh, it's a jackal. Yeah, what the hell do I know? Thank you, Cam. I have too many baits, and Jesus, it's like almost embarrassing, but not really, that I can't remember these things.
I can't even remember what I usually have for breakfast. It's the same thing every morning.
Well, that's different. Ron, it froze up. Oh, don't tell me that.
Rat row.
No, I think we're good. Okay. Hey, Gordy.
Hi, Gord.
So
D.
I agree with the shaky head. If I'm going for reactionary, I'm either going to go frog or square bill, because frog is a different kind of reactionary, but definitely absolutely works. Square bill is nice if you want to keep moving it more, and it gives a more violent kind of presentation versus, say, something like a chatterbait, which still vibrates and it hunts, especially the jackhammer, but a square bill is like really kind of in your face for reactionary. And then if we're going subtle,
always, yeah, you have to have them.
You have to have one tied on. Now, whether you wacky rig it or not, it's entirely up to you. And honestly, I don't throw this as much as I do a fluke now. I just don't have any flukes in my house. They're all on the boat, and I wasn't going to want to get them. But a 6-inch Senko, weightless T-rigged. If I know they're up shallow and you want to get their attention but still have it hang in their face, a weightless Texas rigged Senko or fluke works phenomenal. Think of it like a jerkbait when you're using it. You can bring it through the water, and you have to play with it, because depending upon what you have for your hook size and weight of it, whether you're using a regular extra wide gap hook, or if you're using something more like a frogging hook, kind of. It's not that. I think they're called superline hooks if you're getting Gamakatsu brand, where it's a much thicker, it's almost twice as thick for the gauge on that hook material. And then I would even say line weight plays into it. Sometimes you need a kind of a taut line when you twitch it to get it to really dance. Other times you need to have a mile of slack to twitch it in order to get it to dance. So you have to play around with it because what the size of the Senko or the fluke, what brand it is, because of the salt content, the size hook you have, your line weight, like it all matters when you're throwing something so light and subtle and finesse like that. I like a fluke a little bit better. It tends to dance a little bit more for the way I like it, but if I'm not getting bit, maybe it's a bluebird sky day, no wind, that's one of the first things I'm going to throw. But again, weightless T-rig. Wacky rig works, but I like throwing it around structure and stuff, and I just hate getting snagged over and over and over and over again with a weightless T-rig. So, wacky rig. So those are my go-tos. And then, honorable mention, because it still works great, just a Ned head, little Ned rig. That works killer for smallies and largies. Ned rig is just about easy it gets. This is like the new age version of a wacky rig Senko.
It really is. It works so well.
It does. It works killer. I was kind of hoping Mike Class would be in here so that he could be like, I'm never throwing it. He's like so adamantly against throwing that.
I was too, and then I started throwing and catching a lot of fish, and I was like, well, it works. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep using it, I guess.
Tim, I love the Jackal Mikey too, the big one. I'll have to look into that one. The Rapala DT1 Fat is one I keep tying on a lot. I actually think I have that, but I haven't really looked at my crankbait box much lately, although that's going to change tonight when we put in our
striking shallow water. Or deep? Is that 10 feet
think
or
that's
1 foot?
No, it's 1 foot. If memory serves correct.
Jeez.
Like, think of it like a small scale wake bait. If I'm thinking.
Oh,
of it
I know what you're talking about now. They got yeah.
It's almost like a flat faced bill.
It's like
I think
square
Tim.
bill with a
tell me if I'm
really
correct or
sharp
not.
angle.
If that's the one I'm thinking of, I have like 4 or 5 of them. And then they're all different colors or patterns. Perch, bluegill, and I don't even remember what else. I don't think they make them anymore. Yeah, I mean, the ones I have are old. I think they're like 10 to 12 years old now at this point. I think that covers the bulk of what I wanted to say about both reactionary and finesse. Was there anything you wanted to tie into that? Or did we cover them?
Still always going to throw a jig.
One of the things we haven't talked about, which is still very much, this is like when it really comes into play, Texas rig.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of goes without saying. Like, Texas rig is so universal. I think it's probably one of the most widely used techniques by everybody. So it's kind of one of those that it almost goes without saying, but it's worth saying.
And like a power shot or drop shot really starts coming into play now.
See, I was going to talk about that for smallies. You're absolutely right.
Well, you do it for largies too.
You do. I don't.
I do.
I should. I just don't. I only throw them for smallmouth. I don't know why.
Or Tokyo.
Oh, speaking of, they're hanging right there on the wall. You want to rig one up? I don't know if I have any bullet weights over there.
I don't want to do it.
Ron Yeater. Ron, from the bank, I use a craw Texas rig with weight and bobber, stopper, and lay down. Absolutely, dude. That works killer. Okay, so Tokyo rig. Just while we're on the topic, if anybody's curious what it is.
You got your regular Texas rig hook. The Gamakatsu, I don't know, what is that, a 4-aught, 5-aught?
That's a 4.
And then it's got a little barrel swivel on. Okay, this is hard to show.
Oh, you were getting in focus right there, though.
Was I?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got the hook, and it's attached to a split ring.
It's out of focus. That's all right. They kind of get the idea.
To a barrel swivel, and then off that is this piece of wire. And your weight goes on the wire. You pretty much put it on. You can fold it over however you want to do it so it stays. But when this drops down, this wire weight hits the bottom, and it keeps your bait up off the bottom. So if you have like a bottom with like real like kind of thick muck, and you want your bait to sit on top of it instead of sink down into it, this will keep it above all that muck. Depending on how high or how low you keep your sinker will determine how far down into that stuff it'll go. I just smacked this thing.
Wow, way to go. Oh.
Wow, way to go. I also like throwing this into like heavier cover, like heavier, like thick lily pads, almost like punching. But if you work the edge of it where it starts to kind of weed out, like kind of like spread out a little bit, I like to throw this in there. It also works pretty good through timber too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
Absolutely. Carl Acorn, great point. It almost works like a short Carolina rig.
What, these?
Yep.
Yeah. Or like a very stiff drop shot.
That's the way I always envision
shot,
it. Like,
almost.
power shot, exactly. Yeah, where you don't want to tie a tag, but you need the bait to slide through cover easily, but keep it off the bottom so they can follow it down. And especially you have what's really typical for a lot of kettle ponds in the Northeast, and I'm assuming pretty much everywhere else in the North, is you've got just like a couple images that just mushy bottom like vegetation. I'm not even sure
Just
what it's
like
called.
Decayed leaves and leftover dead schmutz from the fall and
That, and then sometimes you get that really thin green grass, like it almost looks like baby milfoil, like little cabbagey kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It only grows a couple inches tall, but if you drop a jig down it just sinks and disappears.
See
But
you,
if
bye.
something like that, little tension on it, it'll stand up and sit above it.
I've actually seen dudes put
Detritus, yes, Jim, that's a great word.
I've also seen dudes put glass balls on above the weight on the
On a
actual
Tokyo?
rod itself, yeah.
Really?
Almost like a Carolina rig, how it does the knocking.
Makes sense. Actually, I'd be curious how that would work if you just either had a tungsten weight over your drop shot, so two tungstens clacking together, or if you had weight bead tungsten slapper. Because they make those things. It almost looks like a ball bearing,
Yep.
where it's like a cylinder with two flat faces, and it's just a little tungsten chunk. And you're supposed to, I think it's supposed to go. Trying to think. I think it goes that, then glass bead, then your weight. I don't know. I forget. Something like that. But it just helps magnify that clacking when you're working a Carolina rig. Ron, with Rhode Island grass crap, I use 18 to 30 inch leader on a drop shot. Yeah, and I know plenty of guys up here in New Hampshire that do that too. Like Winnipesaukee, there's a lot of really good areas where you have kind of sparse grass, but it stands up pretty tall, and sometimes they just really want to drop shot. So they'll throw like a really light weight with a 30-inch tag between weight and hook, and they'll throw it up in that. And it just kind of like slides down in, the weight hits, but you're keeping your bait up like kind of in the higher end, if not just a hair above all that grass, and it works phenomenal. I've seen a couple of guys do that extremely well in the years past. All right, so for those that are interested, let's do a quick raffle. Oh man, what else we got here? Carl, you're a champ, dude. Thank you so friggin' much for the donation.
What the hell? Thanks, dude.
Dude, thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much, buddy. Send me your address. I have a shirt for you, sir. I think I may have your address still, but you let me know. Let me know what your address is. I have a shirt just for you. But for anybody else that is interested, we can do a quick raffle. $2 an entry. We'll do a shirt or a hat. Winner's choice. It's 9 o'clock right now. I'll give it till 9:15 because we'll just do the one. So you got 15 minutes. Anybody that's interested, $2 per entry. You can do it through here in the chat if you're set up to do so on YouTube, or down again in the video description below. There is a link to both our PayPal and our Venmo. Go ahead and hit it up at 9:15. I'll close it. I'll add everybody up. I'll put up the whole wheel, spin some names. We'll pick a random winner. We have the Real Northern Bass t-shirts, this, and then black with an all-white logo, and then we have a variety of hats as well. Bass Man, here's my $2. So we'll go till 9:15, and we'll make it happen. So we've talked a lot about largemouth. One of the things we really haven't talked about yet at all is post-spawn smallmouth. A lot of this, there's overlap between the two, but when we're talking smallmouth specifically, I do really like to change things up a little bit.
I like to downsize my baits. Like if I'm
What's your
throwing
go-to? Make it simple. What's your number one go-to when we're talking post-spawn smallies? Because post-spawn smallies don't go quite that deep. They will go a little bit deeper than largemouth. Where I feel like largemouth that kind of sit like anywhere from like 3 to 10 feet, and I'm really overgeneralizing, but that covers the bulk of what we've experienced in the past. But smallmouth, that could be down to even 20 feet deep, because they especially some of those bigger females, they move they could literally be anywhere from 3 to like 25 feet in immediate post spawn. It's wild where we've caught some of these fish. Yeah. So you have a much bigger window to cover. But anyway, so what is your number one go-to for post spawn smallies?
It might be a little.
I have mine out on the table.
Yeah, I like that tube.
I'll go first. You've gone first. Everything else. My go-to. We're talking strictly smallmouth. It's just a tube, man. And it varies, but pretty much like a 1/4 ounce weight is kind of like that happy medium. Let me get a little closer. I can't get that to focus in. Sorry. Whatever. It's a tube. Everyone knows what a tube looks like, right? And I like something with a little bit more stout hook. Gamakatsu makes some really good tube hooks. Actually, one I have in here is from our buddy Gordy at Gordy's Lures.
Tubular.
There's something about the versatility of a tube and what it does for post-spawn smallies that just works phenomenal. One specific, and again, it's a very specific example, but of a tube working exceptionally well, my buddy Travis and I fished a New Hampshire Bass Nation tournament on Newfound. Damn, it's like 8 years ago now, I think.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. 54 boats. We had the second heaviest bag of the day, and I had the second biggest fish of the day on the tube, as well as a couple other fish for it. And I cannot begin to tell you how many big smallmouth I've caught on this tube, especially when it comes to post-spawn. Pre-spawn starts to work pretty good too, but post-spawn, that's my jam. I am not going out looking for smallmouth if I don't have a tube tied on.
And you'll catch Lakers too.
Yes,
you will. A lot of them.
Especially cold water. We've caught a couple of them doing that when we've tried working a tube in much colder water than we typically would. But
First cast last year. First trip of the season.
Where was that?
I caught that. It was my first Laker ever on a tube, and I caught it on a tube. Where I always go ice fishing.
Oh, that was 2 years ago.
Oh, Jesus.
Was it? I don't remember. I know what you're talking about now, but I was just thinking about that trip recently.
That was a jerkbait day, too.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I think it was 2 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, time flies when we're having fun, man. When you're having fun and you don't get sleep like me.
Jesus. That was a long time ago. Never mind, just kidding.
Yeah. But anyway, my answer, tube.
Tube.
If I'm going post-spawn smallies, and I'm going to, most of the time, just a green pumpkin with a black flake works great. Now, for technique and how I'm fishing it, bomb it out, let it hit, lift it up, almost like a Texas rig. Kind of like an aggressive, but like halfway between little subtle hop and like, trying to snap a jig along. There's another term for it. My brain is not there today.
Cracking them.
Thank you. Cracking a tube. That's
crack it.
More caffeine. Oh, I put too much hazelnut in that. It tastes like crap.
Whack.
Oh my God, that's fun though. When they're like feeding aggressive and you're cracking a tube with like a 1/2 ounce weight in it, that's fun. Mm-hmm. But for most of the time, it's just kind of like that's even too aggressive. It's more like a kind of like that. And I'm trying to get it up several feet off the bottom, and I'm just letting it do its thing where if you get it set up right, it will do a little bit of a spiral as it falls, which is kind of what I like about it. I tend to do better with that with a lighter jig weight, but most of the time we're end up in the wind anyway, so I like a 1/4 ounce. It's just heavy enough that I can still cast it with whatever the wind is doing, but not so heavy that it's just going to rock it to the bottom if they don't want that. And then I'll alternate. I'll go from kind of lifting it like that, follow it down, taut line sometimes, otherwise I'll try and let it, I go back and forth. Taut line, semi-taut line, dead slack line, just letting it try to fall in different means. And then just kind of work it like a jig, a little pop, quick drag, depending on how much rocks there are. Snap it, drag, lift, and then just kind of vary it the whole way along. I would say most of the time, I'm keeping it no more, I would say within 2 feet of the bottom. Never be getting it more than 2 feet off the bottom.
Yeah.
If you're noticing you can get a lot more aggressive with it, dude, snap that bitch and get it like way up off the bottom, 4, 5, 6 feet off the bottom. But other than that, like just, again, work it like a jig or a shaky head. You just kind of lift, or a Texas rig even. Lift, pop, drag, lift, repeat, and just eventually
figure out what they want.
Smallmouth is going to pick up on it. Just pay attention to what you're doing, and you'll put that pattern together quickly enough.
Smallies are just extremely picky most of the time.
Color more than anything.
Yeah, color more than anything. I mean, you could have a perfectly green, like, I don't know. You could have this jig without the black on it, without the black speckle, what do we call it? Black glitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. And they won't even touch it. As soon as there's just a little bit of black in there, they'll start smoking it. or it could be the other way around. They are super anal with their colors. Kind of more special. Oh, the chartreuse on chartreuse.
Yeah. Chartreuse on chartreuse, kid.
Yeah.
I don't really focus on how I want to try and spell that out.
He should dye his hair that color.
He should. Honestly, that's a fire color. It's good. It's really good.
I know.
One of my best producing spinnerbaits is 100% chartreuse. As stupid as that sounds, my previous PB at 6 1/4 came on that. I don't know how many 5 and 4 pound largemouth, and even quite a few 4 pound smallmouth have been on a 100% all chartreuse double Indiana blade spinnerbait. Can't even explain it. Gin clear, and I mean like straight up coffee water. Doesn't matter. That chartreuse, all chartreuse bait just works phenomenal. It makes zero sense. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just works.
It's like Jerry's pink one.
Oh, he's going to hurt you for saying that
I
loud.
don't give a shit. He has 10 bags of Senkos in his boat right now. He owes me 10 grand.
Yes, it does. Tim, you're absolutely right. It is a bait you should. It's kind of like, man, it's just like a Ned rig in that regard. It's like there's a good chunk of the year where like a tube is just the way to go. But yeah, on your point about color, like that green pumpkin, the black flake, more often than not, it's all you need. Aside from that, there's like a cinnamon kind of gray color. It's like a dark gray with a black and red flake. Also works phenomenal. Smoke with black and purple flake is another one of my go-tos. Something with a gold flake sometimes. I want something like really flashy and shiny.
What are those Reaction Innovation ones?
Oh God, I don't remember. There's another color.
They're like a super dark green with like a purple flake in them.
I can't remember. Oh, then there's the Bass Pro tender tubes. Really long, skinny things. I have black and orange flake. That I tend to do better with later into the post spawn when I know the crawfish are starting to molt and they start to develop a little bit of that orange. Yeah, my guy, you know what I'm talking about. And that orange becomes much more into play. Then that's when I'll start to throw something like that. They love it. That orange really fires them up. Jason taking notes on colors. Better believe you are. David, that spinner was fire way before the Mad Fisherman threw it. Yeah, you're probably not wrong on that. Pasha, is Lake Champlain a highly pressured lake?
It is now.
Dude, it's hard to say because it's huge. It's like 97 miles long or something like that. Yeah, I want to say it's 260,000 acres, surface acres or something like that. It's huge. It's big. So, yeah, I mean, they have a tournament like on every launch throughout the entire year, but there's just so much damn water and so much fish. Like, it's got a lot of pressure on it, but it's not pressure.
It's like going deep sea fishing.
Yeah. Hella bass.
That's a big-ass pond.
All you need is a dinger for post spawn. And dude, we covered that. We did. You're not wrong, Hella. I'm trying to think. What else? We have 5 more minutes on that raffle. I've only seen one person enter, though, so I might just give it to him by default. I don't know. I'm actually getting a little nervous. I got all this apparel, and I need to sell it, or I can't do the next order stuff. Hey, no worries, buddy. I appreciate you stopping by every time, Hellabass. Tim Maynard. Chartreuse white, 3/4. Slow nickel willow on top. Wait, what? Slow nickel willow on top. Gold Colorado kicker. I like it. What else have we not covered? Oh, all right. So I'm sorry. Circling back to smallmouth, my go-to is a tube. What was yours?
I kind of agreed with you on that.
Okay, what's your second?
Or second, well, tube 1A, 1B, Hustler.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't have... Is there one up there? I know where it is. Hang on. Eat. I got it right here.
Wait, there is.
Is there one right? I don't know.
No, there isn't. Never mind. What is that, though? That's... Never mind. Just kidding. That ain't it. You.
Cheeky bugger.
Sons of...
There you go. You talked about it. You show it off. Get up there.
This thing is awesome. For smallies, just a more compact jig with that marabou... Is it fur? Hair?
Yeah, marabou hair.
It's like feathers. Anyway, this thing is amazing. You can work this thing through literally anything. Rocks, grass, the thickest of whatever. You can throw it into trees, everything. And this thing works killer. But for smallies, I like in post spawn, I like the dirtbag color, which I don't think.
No, I don't have any dirtbag at all. Dirtbag from Beast Coast is just black and brown.
Black and brown, yep. And with, like, for smallies, I like running a darker trailer. Really, just a really compact, like this one, but I would either have it black or just a really dark green. And that's my hustler setup.
Yeah.
That's about it.
There's another color off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's kind of perchy, but then Stealth Craw too, just straight green pumpkin. Like any of those are absolutely killer.
Oh, the Stealth Crawl works really well too.
And then the open water sniper. We brought it up a little bit earlier, and there's a couple of different versions. Actually, it has 3 different versions of it. It's, I believe, a 44 strand count jig typically. There's no brush guard on it. It's a tungsten resin for the head. He's got quarter, 3/8, and half-ounce versions. It's a 2/0 hook. It's a stout hook. We proved that up on Champlain this past weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at one point I had like 40 fish on one, and it was only ever so slightly bent.
Yeah, I went like 2 days with one.
Yeah, you did.
That's probably over 100 fish.
And that was on 15 pound with a 7.3 heavy fast rod with not gentle hook sets.
With somebody that just wants that fish to come up on the boat within 3 seconds of hooking it out of 20 feet of water. Get up here!
Yeah. Dude, they're a phenomenal jig. So again, I believe the standard, it's 40 something. I think it's 44 strands, but then they have the MB version, which is just a 20 or 22 strand. Something like that with a little craw trailer on it. It almost looks like kind of a bulkier but shorter spider jig. And if everybody remembers what a spider jig is, it's just a twin-tailed hula grub. You get them in 4-inch and 5-inch, I know for sure. You might be able to get them in different sizes, but I think 4-inch is kind of the standard, quote unquote. But you could throw a little finesse craw. You could throw a twin-tailed grub on it. You could throw a little tiny swim bait on it. You could throw a whole myriad number of baits on the back of an open water sniper. And it's a short, compact, but bulky presentation. And that's easily going to be, I know it, my number 3 go-to bait for post-spawn smallmouth. My number 1 is a tube. My number 2 is a drop shot. I don't have one set up because everybody should know what a drop shot is at this point. With a magic flick. Just a 3.65 inch magic flick from Beast Coast. I've got every color the guy makes, and more often than not, the Chronic is my go-to. You know,
Mine
just
too.
Like, shut up. Green pumpkin with black flake. Like, dude, you just can't go wrong, especially when you're targeting smallies. And sometimes they want something like the bankroll where it's got a lighter green and then that bit of purple in it. So you got something that's kind of a little bit more flashy per se. And then they've got I think it's JL's Candy Crush, which is a good one too. Phenomenal color. More translucent, but it's got like a really good blue in it. Then you've got the Truth, which is kind of like a silvery, translucently like silver with some blue in it. Very much like a smelt.
Yeah.
At least for up here in New Hampshire. If I know they're really, really, really keyed in on smelt, then the Truth is one of my go-tos. Although same with bankroll. Like those two, like if they're not hitting one, then they're hitting the other. Like clockwork, without exception. And those are all phenomenal. What would be some honorable mentions when we're talking strictly smallmouth? Well, actually, everything we've talked about so far has been bottom contact. We talked tubes, jigs, Ned rigs.
Spy bait. Little swim bait on like a 1/4 ounce head.
I actually think I have one up there behind that lipless.
For sure.
Definitely
jerk baits.
I'm 99% sure there's a spy bait. No. Behind the lipless. Hey. Yeah, see, I remembered. Hella does know the slogan, better dead than dead.
This is quickly
becoming... I'll use whatever it takes to put him in the boat. I don't care.
One of my favorite smallmouth baits ever.
Those are fun.
It's a little, what is that, 4-inch, 3.5 inch?
I think it's a 4-inch.
Swim bait. But you count it down. It's actually kind of heavy.
I think it's a half ounce.
Is it half ounce?
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. It's a deceiving bait because it's so small.
But it's heavy.
But yeah, well balanced. But again, yeah, it's heavy.
You cast a freaking mile.
Oh yeah, nice streamlined thing.
But
Even with those props on it, it bombed that thing.
you count this down to where the strike zone is, wherever the fish are, and you just slow roll it. And it's got a prop in the front, and it has a prop in the back. I don't want to do that too hard. That's a hook. These hooks are sticky sharp. And this, oh God, it is so much fun catching fish on these. Because it's just, you don't feel anything, and all of a sudden, either your rod loads up or it just gets hammered. I love them. I lost my PB Smallie on this.
That was a big fish. I will say, if you're going to throw something like a spy bait, this is the dual reeless version. These hooks are super sticky, but very small. They do not stay pinned very well. As easy as it is to stick them, it is just as easy to lose them. So if you're going to throw this, typically what I've found has been to throw it in like a really finesse rod. I will tie an extra long leader if the fish are being super fickle and they're not really attacking anything. Like, again, bluebird skies, no wind, and they're super boat shy. I'm throwing this on my spinning rod setup, so I have braid for my main line on everything, and I tie on a leader. I will typically tie a 12 to 15 foot leader. If I'm throwing something like this, or an Okashira, Megabass Okashira spinhead jig, which is essentially the little swim jig head with that same prop on the front, and then you could throw any sort of soft swim bait on it, something small, like a 2.5 to 3.5 inch swim bait. I'm going to tie like a 30-foot long leader on there because I don't want them to see anything. And I'm going super light line. I know like the pros, when they're fishing these up on the St. Lawrence River and the elites and stuff, they throw it on 6-pound. I don't trust myself to go that low.
I could see that. I was throwing it on 8 and it was fine.
Yep, I will go on 8 and that's fine. I have all the confidence in the world in all my 8-pound setups and it works great, but you need something kind of like, like an ultra finesse rod that you can just, you're not really setting the hook, you're leaning into it. Think like jerkbait, but half power for how much you're leaning into it.
Is it BFS?
Yeah, which I can't remember what the hell that stands for.
Something fishing system. I don't
Super
remember.
tiny finesse stuff.
It's really cool. I would love to get into throwing these in like smaller swim baits on that setup.
Oh, dude, you're going to love it.
5
You're
pound
absolutely going to
test.
love it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yep. That works phenomenal. I'm trying to think. We covered the Ned rig. What else? Spinnerbait. And that's where I'll get into like really flashy colors. And that, again, for that, especially immediate post spawn, like wind's ripping, I'm keeping that spinnerbait high. I'm almost broiling the surface, and I've done exceptionally well doing that.
Even deep water, too.
Oh, yeah. Where Tim, if you see me on the water throwing a Ned rig, you can rest assured I'm struggling. That's how I feel about throwing a wacky rig Senko. If you see Senkos on the deck, I'm struggling to get a bite. With South Jersey, hang on, I gotta pin
Other
this.
song, Spy Baits.
South Jersey, need to try those Depths Bail Song spy baits for those smallies. They're a lot bigger than the average spy baits and weigh 1 ounce. You can use 14 to 16. Now we're talking.
That's my kind of spy bait.
Yeah, dude. See, that sounds good.
I like it.
All right, we get 2 entries for the waffle. I'm gonna let this run a little bit longer.
Rochambeau.
Just everybody I won't even put a time frame on it. We'll do it at the end of the night, and then I'll have to figure out a way to get a hold of people if they're not here. We're not gonna be at this too much longer. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Gordy. Got a couple of good ones on the shaky head today. That's what I like to hear.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else for smallmouth specifically we haven't covered? I mean, jackhammer, yeah, you can absolutely work that. It does really well.
Jerkbait.
Jerkbait, that's one of the things we haven't talked about at all yet, and that works for both. The fun thing about working a jerkbait post spawn, you can work it so fast.
Yeah, you can absolutely just hammer on that thing. They'll just hit it in between jerks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, you can work this thing like almost nonstop. I mean, when I'm fishing a jerkbait post spawn, it's about the only time I really enjoy throwing it. When they're up shallow, they want to hit something that's really aggressive, violent, reactionary strikes. But when you need to give it a pause for them to commit, we've had plenty of days, more so for smallies and largies, where we've had them chasing moving baits, and you can tell they're interested, but they just never close the gap. If you start seeing that happen a lot, that's when a jerk bait really should be in your hands.
It just fucking sucks.
Bombing out there, just like crack, 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 like between like 7 and 15 times, and then pause 1 to 2 seconds, and then repeat. And then you can change up that like cadence a little bit if you want to, but more often than not, you don't have to. Again, you can just work it wicked aggressive. Bomb it out as soon as it hits. A couple of cranks get down, foot or two, and just start cracking the crap out of that thing. Little pause. Crack, 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 little pause. And they're going to, if they're not going to hit it in the middle of, like, when you're violently working that thing, they're going to hit it on that pause. But again, look and see what the fish are doing. Pay attention. Watch your baits all the way back to the boat and work them all the way back to the boat. That is seriously, I don't think stated enough, especially now in this post-spawn period. Work that bait to the damn boat, not like 20 feet and then burn it back because you gave up. To your feet
Like
before
you're
you pull it
musky
in the
fishing.
water. Yeah,
Pretty
there
much.
you go.
Just work that thing till you hit the boat.
Iron Dog, hey friend, haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for stopping in. I've heard about Sean throwing his 8-pound in the water, but that's not about fishing.
Jeez,
Spaloosh.
that thing's 8 pounds.
There's a decimal in there. Tim, what's what they hate for the drop shot? I love drop shot fishing. I've caught, I would say the bulk of my 4+ pound smallmouth have come on a drop shot. That's so much fun.
Mine have been on a hustler, or just on a jig.
Yeah, you're lucky, prick.
I've only been smallmouth fishing for, I don't know, 5 years now.
Say that again.
5 years?
Start over.
I don't know.
What'd you say? Did you just say I
Smallmouth
really
fishing.
haven't been smallmouth fishing for 5 years?
I've only been really smallmouth fishing for like 5 years.
I know what you mean now. Sorry, I thought you meant like you haven't been, like you haven't gone out to do it. I'm like, are you high?
No, I'm not actually.
No, sorry. From the day you really started targeting them, I understand.
Like specifically going out and targeting, and I'd just be like, oh, there's bass in this pond.
Right.
Yeah.
Jim, see there's an excellent question. At what water temperature do you switch from spawn to post spawn? Upper 60s to about 70 degrees.
When the beds are empty and the bluegills are up shallow.
There's a wide gap there, though. You're not wrong.
Yeah, but you still got to work that same way.
That's absolutely true. I would say like 68-ish is about that cutoff point where I'm starting to see a lot more post spawn in the sense of at least empty beds. But especially once you hit that 70-degree water temp, then that's when like a lot of that post spawn action becomes really consistent and you can bank on it. But it's got to be like a pretty good stretch of time of where that water temp is at 68 to 70 so that they've had time to obviously go through the whole motion of the spawn period itself, and then they usually have at least a couple days where they just seem to not do a damn thing, and then they come back and they start feasting again right up through until after all the bluegill spawn out. Once the bluegill beds are empty, then that's when you start getting to that kind of deeper summer pattern. I don't mean deeper water, just like the hot weather, deep summer patterns. And that's when things start to change up a little bit. And you can't, that like power fishing doesn't become quite as reliable because the fish aren't actively feeding as aggressively as they used to be. But yeah, like 70-ish degrees is about the same. Or is about as safe a bet as you can get. Tim, it's not the bait's fault, really. I just suck at the more finesse presentations and too hyper impatient, I guess. Yeah, when you're talking about smallmouth post spawn, dude, you can work a drop shot aggressive. And actually, you can work that right up until, I'm trying to think what water temperature before they start really suspending that a drop shot doesn't really become viable anymore. But those smallmouth,
It's like 80.
yeah, I want to say that you're probably right, and that it's
hot. I know it's hot.
Middle to end of July is usually about that cutoff where all of a sudden they go out, like you'll follow them from spawn, right? For smallmouth, they're in a foot of water, and more often than not, they'll still hit plenty of bottom contact baits, like pretty consistently. That if that's your jam, you're still going to be able to go out and catch fish, no problem. Some days you might struggle, but for the most part, you're still going to be able to get at least a couple of fish doing that. You don't have to work the middle of the water column or on top. And they're going to stay in that kind of bottom contact, like reliable feeding method from 1 foot all the way down to about 30 to 35 feet. And once you've had like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks of like reliably hammering them out in that we'll say like 25 to 35 foot range, but on the bottom, that even all the way up to that point, I can catch them on a drop shot, working it pretty aggressively. So it's nice if like that's something that you want to force yourself to do. Like now's a good time.
8 to 10 inch tag.
Yes, short tag.
Yeah, between weight and hook.
Yep,
probably about 8 to 10 inches. Gone upwards of like 2 feet, 2.5 feet, but
8 to 10
not
is,
often.
No, like 8 to 10. He hit it nail right on the head, man. Have a good night, Hellabass. Thanks for stopping in, dude.
Later, dude.
Yeah, like 8 to 10 inches, and you just bomb it out and watch your line as it sinks. As soon as it hits the bottom, you just kind of lift up on a little bit. You can kind of hop it a little bit, slow drag on the bottom, wait, slow drag on the bottom, wait, pop, nothing. Okay, burn it back. Watch your graph. When we see a fish down there, drop it straight down their head, and you'll watch them swirl right back around and come up and smoke it. You do not have to work it hard. Again, this is a perfect time of the year to get it out there and work on it. But don't get to do a ton of smallie fishing here in Kerr and Gaston in North Carolina. It's mostly a largemouth or spot deal. Don't the spots really like drop shot fishing though? No, they're more of a shaky head. I'm not really well versed on
shaky. Yeah, I think they're more of like. I mean, they'll eat whatever. They're a bass, so it doesn't matter.
True.
But like, I know a lot of people that go out for like trophy spot bass.
Yeah.
Go out and throw those like bright pink shaky heads.
Well, remember when Tim and Matt at Tactical Bass, and you ever seen that video when they went out chasing the world record and Tim caught, for a short amount of time, the world record spotted bass?
Yeah, and then some other dude came in behind him and caught that like 11 something.
They were literally all together. Because I remember the Tacticals video when they did it, and then the other guys, I can't remember the guy's name, but they're
on another boat.
They were on like literally side by side. They were all out there together working the same thing, but it seemed like it was two totally different groups doing two totally different things when it all first came up. They're all out there together. I think they camped out there for like 3 or 4 nights in their boats because of the area they were fishing. Yeah, that was
way
wild.
out in the middle of nowhere.
And then I can't remember the pro angler's name.
I forget.
It's not Casey. It's something else. Then he just broke it not too long after that too. I don't know. Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much, buddy.
Hey, thanks, dude.
You're the best. Yeah, that was, and they were all on like these like crazy Magnum shaky heads.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It does. That's why I was throwing this the other day.
Can we just have somebody just bring some spots up here? I feel like they fight really hard.
I feel
like a largemouth with the body of a smallie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like a mean mouth.
Yep. Oh my God. Could you imagine if we actually Cody Meyer? Yes, thank you, Joe. Could you imagine if we had meanmouth up here? I mean, I know we do. We've
caught them.
I'm 99.9% positive
you've caught them.
You've caught them.
We have caught them.
I'm not sure if I have. I'd bet that you've had 2 that were meanmouth.
I'm 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Could you imagine if they actually like started actively like breeding those bastards and
that
started throwing them up here?
Of a bass.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Jason, yeah, you caught one. I mean, the one we saw that was Colby that he posted that 2 or 3 years ago, and that was a tank.
That I think, that had to have been.
All day.
Same pond.
Yep, I'd bet money on it. I should actually ask him about that.
Should.
If I can remember, I will.
Okay.
Anyway, so all right, we've covered largemouth, we covered smallmouth, we covered all our go-tos for bottom contact, for moving baits, for one of the things we didn't really talk about was topwater. We kind of did from the big bait side of things, but one of the other things I wanted to touch upon for other topwater is just a spook, man. Spook or a popper?
A whopper plopper.
Whopper plopper. Oh, yeah.
Or like a little popper. Like I got the Mega Bass Pot Max.
Yep.
Which I still haven't gotten a fish on, but I've had fish swirl on it. And frog. Did I already say that? I probably already said that.
You did.
But frog.
There you go, Cam. Spook for smallies, frog for largies. Yes. Yes, and yes, but also spook for largies. Especially in our smaller kettle ponds down our way. Spook for largies works killer.
Absolutely.
Big spook, though. Not a little dinky dinky thing. I'm talking like the 5-incher. Remember that giant one I was throwing last year? We went out there with Jason from Beast Coast. We were out there with John from Wicked Custom Rods in our boat. I pulled out that giant spook and I threw like the mega sized trebles on it.
Yeah, that thing was throwing a wake, dude. Like,
But it worked. It was great.
spook for pike, yeah, absolutely. Anything for pike.
Yeah, anything for pike. I don't know, man. Like I think we've adequately covered everything. I'm just trying to think if there's any other honorable mentions that we don't have in here that's eluding my brain at the moment. But now would be a good time to start firing off any other questions you guys had. Either something we missed, which hopefully we didn't miss any good ones. I was trying to keep an eye on it. I was like a double ender. Wobbly sausage. Jim beat Jitterbug. Yeah.
Post spawn is like fishing the summer pattern, like while your summer baits, but just move them faster.
Yeah. Faster and shallower.
Faster and shallower. I'll be throwing the square bill in about a foot of water. Just pretty much the shore and just burning it through all the whatever is between me, the shore, and the boat.
Deflect it off everything.
I've caught some pretty big fish on a square bill during this time of year.
I don't know.
That thing's pretty gnarly, huh?
If I can get it to
Can't
focus.
really see it, no.
Damn it. I gotta get up. I want to see if I can show this off.
Sorry, mate.
Come on, you. Focus.
I don't
Focus.
I don't know if it's going to do it. It might do it.
Focus.
What if you just focus it manually?
Forget it.
Okay.
Too much effort. Anyway, you guys have to trust me. The lip on that crankbait is beat to death because I like to deflect it quite a bit. Actually, I broke one at Champlain doing that.
Yeah, you did.
And you can do it with a jerkbait, by the way. I have heard of many people that have done extremely well working a deeper diving jerkbait in shallow water and crashing into the bottom or deflecting it off hard structure. The benefit of that, like the deeper diver gets it that even in shallow water, right? You're working 6 to 8 feet. A regular Vision 110 or any other typical 4 to 6 foot diving jerkbait is not going to crash into the bottom. So yeah, a crankbait will, but the moment you stop, it's going to bomb right back up. You can get a deeper diving jerkbait, crash into the bottom. When you pause, it's going to stay there. And that works exceptionally well.
You know what's funny? Cam just said don't slap the square bills off the water.
Oh, that is a perfect point.
I have done that to literally every single square bill I've had. I've never broken a bill.
So a bill is, well, it depends on what you mean.
I've never broken a bait slapping it off the water.
I have broke a lot of baits
I
slapped
never
off
have.
the water. But they were all the Rapalas, the wood versions. The plastic ones are a hell of a lot harder to break. And
Yeah, the wood ones, yeah, I could see that definitely.
you might, I mean, slapping it on the water, you might get a little hairline crack in there that would allow water in the body, which, yeah, for a square bill may or may not be a problem. You could probably still fish it just fine.
The other day. Jesus. Easy with your slaps, dude. Jesus.
Those like original Rapala DTs that I was such a huge fan of when they were still making a ton of them out of the wood. I don't even know if they still do anymore. I haven't bought a crankbait in ages. At least not those style. I still have a lot of Rapala DT4s and 6s kicking around. And quite a few of them are, I think they're all wood actually. But yeah, those, dude, you slap on the water, just even a little too aggressively, and the whole friggin' bill pops right out. You just break off like whatever little bonding there is. It's like the square bill, and then there's like a
just lets go
plastic cylinder off of it that goes in. They like glue it or epoxy or whatever, and that all breaks free, and you get a little bunch of like wood splinters still attached to the bill. And your bait's sitting there in the water, just chilling, and you come up with your line with just the bill on it. But for straight up all plastic crankbait like that, I really haven't had a
I mean, I don't slap
issue.
them that hard either.
No, what I try and do is if I've got a little grass on there and I'm too lazy to try and reach down and just grab the grass off it, I try not to slap it, but I try to get it so that just the hooks kiss the surface.
Yeah.
And then that, just the water tension alone is enough to rip the grass off of it. I would say more often than not, but not the majority of the time.
And then it'll come down and skim the water instead of actually slapping the whole bait.
Yeah. But yes, in general, slapping bait on the water is not good for it. I don't recommend.
I did it to this. Actually, a few times.
You should stop doing that. I'm just going to slap my $200 bait on the surface of the water. Hey, Jerry, what's going on, friend? You got here at the tail end.
What's up, my southern friend? We won.
So, I just realized what you said. Oh, phenomenal.
Still salty.
So I don't know. I think that this point is covered. Like we've covered a lot, and I guess if there's anything that we weren't specific, especially on retrieves, cadences, areas that we've been fishing these baits, let us know. Like now is a good time for you to ask these questions, and we can elaborate on it. Again, man, I feel like there's one bait that we haven't talked about that's just escaping me. It's on the tip of my tongue for something that I'll be throwing right now that I haven't touched upon yet. I really should have went into my boat. Oh, you know what?
Underspin.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I feel like that's
Towards more summer. But
I view it more of as a summer pattern only because that's the only time I've fished it. So I can't say yay or nay as to whether it's good or not. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Just freaking swim bait with a little spinner on it. Why wouldn't it work?
You literally have one right here.
That's one of those things that we didn't even bring up when we're talking about other soft body swim baits. Go ahead and elaborate on that. We'll be right back.
What do you mean to elaborate on? It's just a big swim bait with a underspin. I mean, this will work. You can work. I know, I am elaborating. And now I just had a thought. Like throwing this into those shallower pockets, up in through grass, just along like walls of grass. These things are amazing. He actually modified it a little bit to get the kick a little more. But the Citizen 6-inch, that I will throw and just work it as a jig. You can get away more now, like right now, swimming it slowly across the bottom. I've had more luck doing that than actually working as a jig. Like in the summer pattern, I would work it as a jig. I'm trying to think of any other. I need help. For largies, Carolina rig. I know you guys. Someone mentioned it earlier. Carolina rig. I will throw it with a probably 2 to 3 foot leader, and I will bomb that out with probably 15, 20 feet deep, and work that slow across the bottom. That always gets bit. I'm pretty much. It will work all year long, from early post spawn on. Mention. I'm trying to find the comment that I just.
Which one are you looking for?
I don't know. I saw one earlier that was.
I found another.
Forget.
Honorable mention.
What was that?
Austin showing up super late, but have you mentioned the Zara spook? Yes, we did mention that. Did you figure out which one?
Nope. It was gone.
I couldn't agree. Cam Yates. Oh, I want to pin that one. Anytime someone gives us mad props, yeah. Couldn't agree more on what you guys have been saying in this stream. I've been catching fish on all this type of stuff. That's because you're a damn good angler, Cam. You know what you're doing. And maybe I guess we do too. We know what we're doing.
I guess so.
That's literally what he says
They think
often,
we do.
and exactly how he says it like that. We know what we're doing. Ooh, that near reeds and brush should attract a fair bit of attention. Absolutely. Derek, what'd you say? Y'all already seeing topwater rip off. Pip off? Pip. Cheerio.
Top water. Peep off.
Yes, absolutely. It is starting to happen, and you should be taking advantage of it. One honorable mention I wanted to bring up. We were talking about bladed jig, jackhammer. I mean, this is the original Z-Man chatterbait, and it works pretty damn well. The only downside I found with the original Z-Man, the cheaper of the bladed jig, like, again, the OG, it doesn't get started as easily. I feel like I really have to aggressively snap this in order to get it to start vibrating versus the jackhammer right off the bat. And then actually one of the things I'm really looking forward to throwing this year is the Strike King Thunder Cricket. Because I've heard nothing but good things about that, but it's slightly different from the jackhammer. I'm going to order a ton of those. So another honorable mention, Beast Coast Miyagi.
Oh, yeah.
4.65 inch swim bait on a naked chatterbait. Now you can absolutely throw it with the skirt still on there, and this works well on all versions of the chatterbait, whether it's the OG or the Elite, I think is that middle one, I forget, and then the jackhammer. I don't know, I've had mixed results on the jackhammer itself, but this on like the OG swims like a champ, and I really like it without the skirt. Still works great with the skirt, but there's something about that presentation with that swim bait. It's a meal. It's bulkier, but it looks so good on the swim, and I've had a couple of really phenomenal days throwing exactly that.
Brian, yes, I will be working Saturday till 3.
Oh, hot damn.
So if you're around before 3, I will be there.
Gordy is getting in on the waffle. All right, let me start entering names. Who else did we miss? Okay, you got Brian. Oh, there we go. Another one from Cam. Swimming jigs, frogging up shallow, square bill, and jerkbait. Those have been the main arsenal recently. Yeah, dude. That's all you need, man.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it. Oh, there you go. Have you talked about flukes as well? I'm getting a couple now as well. Yes, actually, we covered that pretty early in the stream. Somewhere about in the middle, I think. Yeah, any more questions, you guys? I'm going to go ahead and start entering names into the raffle. We got the last one in here. David. Hey, oh, here we go. Let me pin that. You take that while I start entering names. That one there. Yeah, that one. Oh, maybe not.
I'm not reading that one.
I didn't read the end.
But I 100% agree, David.
I saw Jack here. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a great comment. It was a great comment.
Go fishing.
Oh, that was great.
You working right now?
He might be.
Oh, man, that was a good one. Thank you. I needed that.
All right, delete that. Oh, wait, hang on. You can't see anything if I do this like this.
Yeah, but I can do this.
There you go. Now you can see chat.
Oh.
Derek,
Sorry,
enter
bad
you.
language. No worries.
Hey, I got to go through and...
I was an iron worker and a sailor, so your language does not offend me. I can probably... Actually, can I...
Wait,
Oh, no, you got to use that. Can I go up?
Yes, you can. Well, I go through and make sure I didn't miss anything.
I want to figure out what the hell that...
Wow, I just got an instant headache. That's fun. Right behind the eye.
Coosa River spots. That's what I saw. Never mind. I just wanted to look that up. I'm sorry.
No. Show me this.
Marabou hair on a tail. I'm just looking at all your guys's. I thought I meant...
Okay.
Maybe I just made that up in my head. I don't know.
Have a great night, Iron Dog. Thanks for
Derek-
stopping in, buddy.
Derek said he entered. Did he enter?
Enter me? I didn't get anything from you, buddy. Did I? Was it in the chat?
What are we talking about here?
For the waffle?
Enter me.
Enter. Don't be messing with me like that.
Is this really what they do? They just twerk underwater? Helicopter dick.
How to attack a chick.
How to get chick?
Helicopter.
I didn't see that, Ron Uter.
What?
Dog had 2 operations. Damn. Or you have 2 dog operations. 2 separate dogs. Or 1 dog with 2 operations. Either way, that sucks.
That does suck, Ron. I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I did miss that, too. And we got the last... Anybody else for last minute entry in the waffle for a t-shirt or a raffle? T-shirt or a hat? 3, 4, 5. There we go. We got more people there. Scroll back down. Get caught up. Derek, thank you. I got it, buddy. Who's excited for Stumpy to open this weekend? Stumpy? Like
Like
Stumpfield? I have a package of pre-raid white fluke swim baits. We don't have flukes. Oh, dude, yes, absolutely. Really, it's more about the color and how you're going to throw it more than it is specifically matching the hatch. Really, when it comes down to matching the hatch, it's not always specifically about perfect profile. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but just general size and then color. There's plenty of, I'm trying to think. Like, do we have any specific examples in here?
Of what?
Oh,
Sorry.
dude. Perfect example. He's been catching fish on this in ponds that do not have anything that are trout, period.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, super shallow, dirty ass water that you can barely see more than 3 feet in, and he's catching fish on that. So that is about as an extreme but perfect example as I can get for that.
These fish do not care what the hell is in front of them. If it fits in their mouth, they're going to eat it. I've caught largemouth with snapping turtles in them. I've watched them eat ducks, like small ducks. I watched that one pull a full-size duck underwater.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
If it's moving and it can fit somewhat in their mouth, they're going to go after it.
Damn right. And for everybody that's still here, by the way, if you could drop a like on the stream if you haven't done that yet, please, would greatly appreciate it. And then Austin, that pond has already been opened. They opened the gate like a month ago, I want to say. Unless they reclosed it, but they typically don't do that unless there is high water there, which we definitely have not had yet this spring. But I know for a fact that place has been open for about a month now.
We actually need water.
Yeah, we've
like,
actually...
pretty bad.
It's actually been a pretty dry spring so far.
When I went to that little pond behind the pizza place,
Yeah?
it's low.
Really?
Like that whole back corner where it's usually like a foot deep,
Yeah.
it's all mud.
God, dude, I'm really,
Dry.
really, really glad that we already had a good year for bigs, because if we're facing another drought year, I'm not ready for the struggle. We're just have to go keep fishing big water forever.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Terrible.
that's a problem. I guess we're going to go to Champlain the rest of the summer. Oh, no.
Twist my arm. No, really.
All right, so we got everybody in here. Shuffle it. Share the screen. We'll do the raffle. We got everybody share. Nope, I did that wrong again. Oh, wait, no. Yep, I did that right. Wheel of names.
Wheel of names.
I can't.
What do you mean can't?
It's my stupid monitor.
Oh, share right there on the bottom right. Is that what you need?
Yep, I can't see it. There it is. Thank you. This camera's in the way. Make sure it's... Yeah, there we go. Okay, everybody's in there. Randomized. Hold up. What the hell, chat?
Hell yeah.
Ah!
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hide user. There it is.
Monetizers. Where are
Good
you?
Lord. Did everybody else get that? Bots came for sexy men. It's because of Andrew. Okay, sorry. Let me click to spin. All right, here we go.
Thanks. That's what I appreciate about you. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's Gordy.
It's Gordy.
Gordy, congrats, buddy. Let me know what you want. I'll drop it off.
Congratulations,
Close
Gordy.
that. All right. Where's my mods at? What the hell? Get rid of these. Remove.
Monetizers? I said monetizers.
Oh, okay. They've all been deleted. They're just still showing up. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. What else did we miss?
I
think we got it all.
Yeah, I think we got it all.
I think we did. I can't see the chat.
They want sex.
They do. Ron. Oh, one dog. My black lab therapy. Good dog. 2 operations. Ouch. Damn, man. Well, hopefully the dog is on the up and up and on the way out. Or, yeah, on the way out. Jesus.
On the way out. Jesus, dude.
I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that. On the way, on the up and up. I'm so tired.
And not on the way.
I am so tired.
I apologize for my friend.
I was responding to him while reading Brian's comment about I got them, Mike, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, thank you, Brian, for getting them out of here. Oh, my God. Okay, that's it. We're done. So, on that note, again, very sorry, Ron. We are, yeah, that's it, man. So everybody that's watching, thank you very much. Again, if you haven't hit like on the stream yet, please do so before you leave. It really does help more than you guys think. And then for anybody that gets this far while watching it after the fact, please go ahead and drop a comment as well. Anybody that's willing to share this after the fact too when it's live helps more than anything. Anything all in the above, whatever you guys can do. We greatly appreciate all the effort. Other than that, next week, I have no idea what the hell we're going to talk about yet, but we'll get there. I know I have a couple of guests in mind that I want to get lined up. I really want to get the swim bait scrutiny guys back, so I got to get in touch with them again to see what their schedule looks like, so we can talk about just big swim baits. I know we're going to get Oliver and I from Big Bass Dreams back on. I'd like to have the whole Big Bass Dreams crew on at some point as well, just to talk to them about what I'm not sure yet. We have
Probably Big Bass.
another pro lined up that we could have on. He's expressed interest in coming on. We should get him on here sooner than later. Then I want to get somebody on to talk about trophy smallmouth hunting. That's someone I'd really like to get back on. And actually, you know what? It might be good to have another refresher on electronics if I get in touch with Steve at Bass Fishing Electronics.
I actually pushed somebody his way.
Huh?
2 weeks ago. Last week.
Who?
The dude that bought the old Trex.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's another graph. So.
Hell yeah. Steve likes us. We've helped a lot of business with him. I say a lot. We really, I mean, in the grand scheme of things. Jim, I would love to get Ben on one of the streams. That dude knows his shit. He is a smart guy. He's definitely wicked good at chasing down smallmouth. I'd love to get him on.
Let's get Polnick on.
That is my goal. If there's any one pro I could have on this, I would love to have either Zona or Polnick. Zona would...
I mean, you can't go wrong with either of them.
No, because they do exactly what we do. Obviously, 1,000 times better, but the point still stands. They are northern anglers that have excelled fishing all over the country. They are extremely versatile. Look at Polnick. He's leading Angler of the Year again right now.
Yeah, for what? How many times?
He already won it once. Now he's been close, I think, another year, if memory serves correct. And now, right now, he's leading. He just finished second at Lake Fork. He was actually tied for overall weight with G-Man, Swindle.
Yep.
But he had the heavier bag for one of the days, and that was the first tiebreaker. So he got second. G-Man got third. But
close.
Dude, hey, tomorrow night, if you guys are interested on the Big Bass Streams live stream, 9:00 p.m. Eastern time, they have Polnick on. That's going to be an amazing stream. I'm going to make sure I take time out of my night to watch some of that because I love Polnick. He's absolutely hands down one of my favorite anglers. I love the fact that he came from the north and he's got such incredible versatility. He made it on to the elites coming up through Bass Nation by getting there through the whole Bass Nation trail and having, he finished fourth, I believe, if memory serves correct, which my memory has been dog shit lately, in the first classic they made because of coming up through Bass Nation. Like that, and I think that was the last year that KVD won it too. It was either KVD's third or fourth classic win. That was, yeah. Anyway, dude, I would kill to have any of those guys on. So I'm excited to watch that stream tomorrow night. That's for damn sure. I'm not going to miss that. What did we miss from Gordy? Oh, yeah, Gordy winning the shirt. You know, David, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to reach out. I don't know how the hell I'm going to reach out, but I'm going to try and reach out, and hopefully I can make that happen because those are two guys. Here's the thing, though. I don't fanboy over anything. I might if I had one of those guys on here. Like, I wouldn't even know what to ask him. Like, that would be a phenomenal opportunity. I wouldn't want to just throw them, like, generic questions. Like, dude, if tomorrow I told you we got Polnick and or Zona to come on the show, what the hell would you even want to ask him besides literally everything?
How big's a bathroom on your camper? And how much, I mean, I already know how much ice cream you eat.
Yeah, Polnick's like eating
congrats,
a lot of cut ice cream.
Congrats on the newborn that's going to be coming pretty soon.
Yes. Look at that. You just fired 3 off right away.
Boom. Done. I don't know. What?
How big's the bathroom in your camper?
I mean, that's a legitimate question.
It is a legitimate question.
He pretty much lived, well, kind of all 3 of them kind of live out of it.
Yeah, they do.
They all got to poop at some point.
This is also true. That's a really
and
nice
ice cream, dairy, fishing snacks.
Polnick's going to somehow catch wind of this stream, and he's going to be like, these dudes are weird.
The Andrew kid's kind of an idiot. Why do people like him?
Oh, my God. So I'll have to do with the friggin' mermaid question again.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
I wouldn't mind asking that as just a random question, but like after we got into things and we kind of got comfortable. That's one of the things. Like
Well,
I
Jim's
guess
best friends with him.
this is true. They are BFFs.
They are.
Jim, I know you don't watch, but if you do watch, hey. Just trying to think. What the hell was I going to say? Yeah, I do too. He's been doing the dad thing pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
He's been laying low and taking care of his girls, which is good.
Good job, Jim.
Proud of you, buddy.
Love you. Miss you.
Well, that he was helping Mike with his house big time. Anyway,
oh yeah.
We're getting way off track. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's 1,000 questions I'd love to ask those guys. Just shoot our shot. Oh, that was the thing I was going to say. One of the hardest things I've had about thinking about guests I'd want to bring on, chemistry. I can get along with just about anybody, but like doing something like this is hard enough as it is, especially if you are trying to do it with somebody that maybe hasn't done live shows pretty often. So you just don't know how it's going to go, and trying to make adjustments to work around that on the fly can be very challenging. So that I've been hesitant to reach out
with all our guests.
We have been, but we've also been very particular on who we've brought on because of that, because we ourselves are still relatively new to this. At least this is where my brain is thinking, like, still relatively new-ish to this. I know we've done a pretty damn good job with this overall, and I know how much we progressed as well. So there's a lot that we can work with, but it's always something that's always kind of a concern in the back of my mind. Like, you get somebody on here that just, it doesn't jive, and it's going to, I don't know. I worry that the quality of the conversation won't be great. Like, it'll be forced. So I'm just trying to get in touch with more people and try to interact with specific individuals that I've followed forever, just never interacted with. But trying to kind of make those relationships so that hopefully then we can have like a nice natural kind of conversation when we get these people on. I don't know. That's the goal. I'm just speaking out loud because I like to keep you guys involved in what it is that we do.
I don't usually like meeting new people, but this is fun.
This is freaking fun. Are you kidding me? I love doing this every Wednesday. It's great because every time we do this show, like I was driving home, like, hell yeah, man, we got the stream tonight and it's Friday. Literally every week when it's stream night, I think it's Friday because it's like the highlight of my week. Like Fridays have always been like, yeah, end of the work week. We get to go do yard work and stuff to get stuff done around the house, and I can play with my kids, and then I can go fishing. And then I like it, and I'm like, shit, it's only Wednesday. I got 2 more days of work.
I have 3 more days of work.
Yeah, but you only worked 2 days so far. I've worked 3.
True. So my week's not even halfway over yet.
No. We get to fish twice this weekend.
Who?
Us. Potentially. I don't know what the hell your plans are this
What
weekend.
the hell's this weekend?
Memorial Day on Monday, buddy.
Oh, I don't want that.
We'll go local. It'll be fine. It's going to be really nice, too. So if we go north, it's going to be a shit show.
Memorial Day. God damn it.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the 3 weekends in New Hampshire that generally you want to avoid. Well, but let's just go back to Champlain. No, I don't want to do that. I guess it depends on where on Champlain we would go. Because it's still going to be a shit show wherever you go. But the southern end would be Postpon.
Not even worth it.
There's a spot in Vermont I really, 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 really want to go to.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's that one way out in the middle of nowhere.
It's the first letter.
Huh? Oh, no, I wasn't thinking about that, but that could be good. No. This is we haven't even been anywhere near this one yet.
Okay.
We'll talk after. Anyway, I don't know, man. We got a lot of things.
Ronnie.
Justin, to answer your question, we've done that, and we should continue to do that to get more local guys on. But there's like other guys from different parts of the north that I would love to get on. So if you guys think of anybody else that you think would be a good guest, like especially if you're on other people's live streams, kind of like you are for us, for on our shows every Wednesday night, and you're talking to somebody that you think like that we'd probably get along well with that maybe I haven't heard of. Again, I'm going to sign off here in about 5 minutes and then be up until 2:00 again tonight to work on day 3 of the Champlain video. I don't have time to do anything else. I would love to watch other people, but there's so much that I want to accomplish that, dude, I'm at it all the damn time. And when I'm not at it, I watch a movie with the family or I sleep. So if there's anybody else you guys have recommendations, do reach out to me. Message me on Instagram, on Messenger, on Facebook, through the 603 Bass page, or with your friends with me on Facebook. Like, I don't care, man. Any way you guys want to reach out. I mean, even if it's not about guests you want to see on the show or you think would be a good idea that we should reach out to, even if you got some good constructive criticism for things that we do that maybe you think is stupid or could be improved on, I am all about that.
I ain't gonna listen.
He won't. I will.
I won't listen. I don't even know what's going on half the time. I just like fishing.
Yeah, David, it is nice to be able to do that at home. And that's honestly, it's the best thing about this new job, again, being back working in my hometown, 2 minutes from home. The only thing, it doesn't really suck because it's nice because I get to sleep in, but I don't have a choice in my hours. I have core hours I have to work, which I've never had in my career before. So I still get out a little bit later than I would personally prefer to, but at the same time, I get to sleep in. So like, I mean, I can roll out of bed at 7:15 and still be at work well before 8 o'clock when I have to be there by. So I'm in before I'm supposed to be in, stay a few minutes late so I have a little bit of buffer, but I don't typically like to work too much overtime because I don't get paid for it, but it's nice. I mean, I'm back home in 5 minutes. I'm with my kids. It has been an absolute blessing to have this opportunity. I say blessing. I busted my ass to get to where I am, so I feel like at this point I've earned it. At least earned the opportunity to be considered for these opportunities. And it's worked out pretty well.
Hell yeah.
Seems to be pretty good right now. I don't see why it will change. I don't know, man. I've been more optimistic than I have in a long time, and I'm going to keep riding that high for as long as I can. Anywho, I think that's it. Again, if you didn't drop a like on the stream yet, please do so.
It's like
Any
right
suggestions
down
you guys
here
have,
somewhere.
message us at any time. Thank you, Roy, for the donations. I got your message, Dave. I got your message, Gordy. We've got orders to do. One of the last things I want to talk about, for people that, if you noticed, fingers down and over. Nah, wrong hand.
Me? Which one?
No.
Where are we at?
My finger.
Oh, yeah. I like those ones. I'm excited about that.
We just signed a new contract, new sponsorship last night with Waterland Fishing Optics, which is pretty dope. They reached out to us and presented an opportunity that was like, hell yeah. So Andrew and I signed last night, so that's the latest sponsor that we got. So it's going to be good because we have a discount code that we can share with people, and I'm a big fan of their sunglasses, so I'm excited about this.
He's already had them. I haven't tried them yet.
Oh, they're awesome.
I think I put them on for a second, but they were nice.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's more exciting news. I meant to talk about that at the beginning of the stream. I totally whiffed it. So, all right, buddy. Do your thing. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
8 o'clock every Wednesday.
Sir Altitude, we had that offer, but we declined it.
Yeah, wasn't anything special, really.
No, I mean, they were willing to work with us to an extent, but there was a couple of key aspects to the contract offer that just flat out we could not do, which they understood. It was like, I mean, that's why we still signed with Waterland. That was a great opportunity. We're going to say no to that, but yeah, for 6 cents, it just, because of our other sponsorships, especially with Strike King, it wouldn't work out. So we just declined. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Go ahead, do your thing.
My thing?
Yes, your thing.
Bye. See you guys next week at 8 o'clock every Wednesday at 603bass.com.
You did it
/
again.
YouTube. Dude, it's every week. I always go to YouTube, go to 603 Bass. Watch us every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Have a good night.
Later, boys.